Hey, this is Matthew with BI Polar. In this video about being a PM at Microsoft, I'm going to talk about the important skill and practice of making connections. I hope you'll stay with me. Welcome back. If you're new to the series or new to the channel, definitely check out the introductory video. Basically, I've been a PM at Microsoft for over 15 years now, and I'm recording a series of videos with the advice that I wish that I'd been given 15 years ago when I first joined the company. Since I can't talk to my past self and have him hear me, I'm going to talk to you to share some of the lessons, some of the experiences, maybe help you avoid some of the mistakes that I've made along the way so that you can accelerate your career if you're a PM at Microsoft today, if you are in a similar role or at a similar company, or if being a PM at Microsoft is part of your career goals. In this video, I want to talk about the importance of making connections. Now, part of the reality of working at Microsoft is that you end up in a lot of meetings, especially as a PM. Your workday and the cycles of work are really punctuated by getting together to collaborate with others and then delivering work on your own as well. Inevitably, in your day-to-day and week-to-week meetings, you'll meet someone that you don't already know. So there will be a participant in a meeting from another team, another org, another part of Microsoft that you're not familiar with. If you are attending remotely, so I work remotely, I'm never in a conference room these days, this makes it really easy to see who they are. It's like you see their name, you can look them up in the org chart, see where they work. And if you're saying something along the lines of, this is a new person on a team that I'm already familiar with, or if you're saying it's like, I don't know who this person is or who this team is, this is the opportunity. Like, this is the tip. So there's three things that I want to cover in this video, three pieces of advice that I want to share. And the first one is to pay attention in meetings to find those new people. Who are the new faces? Who are the people that you don't recognize? And in particular, who is new and interesting? So when you see someone on a call, if they're just a face in the list of attendees and they never say anything, you may not want to double click too much, or the opportunity may not really be there, the value may not really be there. But when you see someone who's bringing in a new perspective, who's sharing information that you haven't heard before, or if they're asking questions that are valuable to help you understand the topic of the current discussion, these are the people that you want to follow up with. There is a tradition or a practice at Microsoft of getting together for coffee chats. And in an earlier video about finding the right team, I basically said, you can set up a coffee chat with a hiring manager to talk about opportunities on their team. This conversation comes earlier. When you find the new person, just reach out to them. Introduce yourself and say, it's like, hey, I saw you were on this call, like establish that shared context. And then once they know who you are and why you're reaching out, ask to get together. If you're on campus or you share a physical location, maybe you can get together in the cafe or in some other common space. Otherwise, set up a Teams call. 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, have enough time for an actual introductory conversation, but do the work. Make that step to reach out to make that connection. Most people, even if it's not a practice that they have internalized, even if this type of outreach isn't something that they do every day, they've probably seen it before, and even if they haven't, they'll probably welcome it. The second piece of advice, the second success practice, is to be genuinely interested in who they are, what they do, the role of their team, things along these lines. You're basically reaching out to go from the why were you on this call starting point to, like, who are you? What's your role? What are you responsible for? What does your team do? How does your work relate to my work? Because we were on this meeting together. Help me understand this intersection. And if you're genuinely interested, those initial questions that you ask, Their responses, there are obvious follow-up questions. So it's a chance for you to explore and to have a nuanced, low-pressure learning conversation where you now know, or at the end of the conversation, you will know more about them, more about their team, and more about that part of Microsoft into which you didn't have insights previously. The third piece of advice that I want to share is kind of the flip side of this. Like, be prepared to share about yourself and about your team. Why were you on the call? What did you take out of that meeting? What are the things that you're working on? What are the priorities that you're working towards? And if your new colleague, the person with whom you've set up this call, if they're also interested in asking follow-up questions, their questions will also help you understand what they care about, what's important to them, the things that they double click on. This is going to be the signal that helps you understand what's important and what's valuable to them. So here's the deal. Until this point in the video, I've avoided using the term networking. Professional networking is something that I don't think that I'm good at. And for some reason, for me, the phrase has very negative connotations. But this is kind of what we're doing, right? We see someone, we make a connection to them, and now our professional network, that set of people or graph of people with whom we have a relationship, where we have some degree of shared understanding, that network grows. And this means that when we're working on the next thing, we get a new challenge, a new feature, a new product, a new program that we're working on, and we're working to understand what are the problems that we need to solve, or what does a solution need to deliver, or as we're working to execute on that solution, our network basically gives us the resources and the connections to accelerate the work that we do. Remember how impact at Microsoft is a function of both what we do individually, the way that we enable others through our work, and the way that our work builds on the work of others. Well, the others in those two later circles, this is really the people in our network. So in a previous video, I mentioned that you should find the right team and set up informational conversations with hiring managers for teams that you're thinking about joining or that you'd like to learn more about. These conversations, these day-to-day connections, this expanding of your network, this is both what will give you better resources to solve today's problems in your current role, but this is also the set of people that will reach out to you to say something like, hey, like, we've got an opening on my team. This is the hiring manager. This is the job description. This is where the connections come back to help you over the longer term. And over the past 15 years, I've built a huge number of connections, and only in the last couple of years have I been doing this type of work deliberately. But even if it's not something that you're comfortable doing, because you have that initial seed, you have a shared context on which to make the request and on which to base those initial conversations, this is really what can lower the social anxiety, lower the bar, to open that door, to walk through it, to have that conversation, to start planting the seed of your future success. I hope that this is valuable to you. As I mentioned at the top of the video, this is basically the advice that I wish I'd been given 15 years ago. Since I can't talk to my past self, I'm talking to you today, and you can talk to me as well. Drop down into comments. Let me know what you think. Is this a technique that you've used? Do you have tips or tricks that go beyond what I've shared here? Like, subscribe, interact, because it's social media. But basically, I'm looking for your feedback and your experiences to help keep me on track. I want to deliver advice not only that would have been valuable to me back in the day, but that will be valuable to you and your peers today. So definitely let me know. Can't wait to see you next time.